All right, so the next part of this etching press lift mechanism, and this is most of it kind of put together here. You can see I've been rounding, doing some rounding of these corners and stuff and softening some of these things, so it's a bit more to do on that. That's, I don't know, it's pretty boring stuff for video, so we'll save the primo stuff for you guys, okay? So the next bit has to do with this hand wheel here. Now, I had two of these cut when I had this steel cut a while back by my buddies Noel Steel out in Antioch. Anyway, this is going to be the adjustment hand wheel. So what actually happens here is this shaft projects out a little bit. That's not the shaft I'll be using, but anyway, this mounts here, and as we turn this, then we get our lift. We get our roll lift. Okay. So anyway, that's what happens. Now, some of you guys will probably be pretty annoyed, but I went ahead and bought steel handles here. Well, you know what? I'm going to bring you over and I'll show you over here. It's a little bit more interesting when we look over here. All right. So we got a couple of sizes here. Now, you know, I kind of, you know, we've been talking about, you know, how things look and proportions and things like that off and on. And these are the first, well, let's do this here. This will give you a sense of where we're headed with this thing here. So I call this the ship's wheel, and so it looks like a little steering wheel off of a lobster boat or something like that. But this is the general idea. Okay, these will be plugged into the rim at these intersections here, and there's some brass bits that fit into this region. Well, I started looking at it and I was like, you know, they didn't quite, these handles did not look proportioned quite right. So it caught my eye, and I showed my wife, and you know, she agreed that they should be just a whisker bigger. So I got the next size up, which is this, and so you know, just kind of visualize that. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. We'll just trade a couple of these here, okay? And then maybe that'll help kind of give you the idea of the. All right, come on, stay. All right, so you can kind of see that that slightly larger is more in proportion with the diameter of the wheel, the thickness of the rim, and the thickness of these spokes. These are just a tad wimpy. Let's just call it that. Okay. So anyway, that's the project, or the next bit that I'm going to be working on. And so there's a bunch of work on this. I'm gonna, you know, this is going to get rounded to death here, literally. We got to bore this. We got to drill into the rim. Yada yada yada. Let's get cracking. You see what that does? What that does, you got a curved surface and a countersink. Normally the countersink goes heavy on the high points and light on the shallow points, right? This is an ellipti-bur, and it wobbles to meet the curve, and so therefore that countersink is uniform all the way around. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. We're going to use something I haven't used in a while. It's an indicator holder. It's just made of a couple of flat bars that are welded together, just to kind of extend the reach out from the center. And you can put these in a chuck or in a collet. And let's put it in neutral. Then I'm just going to attach my Staretti here. And this will allow me to catch this edge out here. And this edge is, it's just been flame cut and belt sanded. So I just want to try to center up in the you know, in the middle of the meat, so to speak, of what's there. and then I'll bore this hole, and that'll become the center, and I may or may not turn the OD after that. Okay, so 0. And this indicator's nice because it floats over this stuff here. And, okay, I'm pretty far off there. That way. All right. It floats over the holes and, you know, the kind of that nasty surface there without complaining much. Oh, wow, that's pretty good. Right? Sometimes you get lucky. All right, let's go this way. All right, that's not too bad. There we go. That way. That seems pretty happy. And then I am 15 plus 15. All right, I can beat that a little bit. I got 10. All right, that looks pretty tasty. Okay. All right, so we're ready to go here. So this is one of those hole diameters that kind of falls in a bad spot for this particular boring head, and you can see that I've kind of backed out kind of the wrong way, so to speak. Well, you can kind of, you know, only have so many positions you can put the boring bar in, right? So, you know, if I put it in the center, then I end up running this way out this way to get onto the hole, right? So the way I always think about it is I want as much of the dovetail slide of the boring head engaged at any time that I can have, right? And that's the most stable condition, even though this looks a little wonky there. So, so it looks like, you know, we're gonna take a nice little cleanup cut. This isn't a super fussy bore, it's just a clearance bore, but this is a convenient way to do it. And I know there's a whole pile of guys out there going, why don't you just do that in the lathe? Well, right after I do this hole, there's a 5-hole pattern that goes in this. So to me, it's a mill job. You set it up once and you're kind of done. So, okay. All right, so we're kind of ready to go here. And I don't know, let's do some boring. See what happens here. Now I've got some spacers underneath there, but there's not a lot of space, so I just want to kind of keep the chips out of there if I can. Okay. All right, and it's kind of an intermittent cut, which isn't unexpected. All right. Run it out a little bit, cut some more. Let's see, 25, and then we'll do a light finish pass. you.